Hi, dear viewer. Yet another exciting Friday. Wow, the family talk show here. My name, as usual, my beautiful name, by the way, is Clare Bwenje, your world's favorite host. How are you? How are you doing? And praise the living God. Well, today it's another exciting Friday. Today I'm joined by an amazing couple, young, fresh, good looking. Oh my God. I know you're so excited to have a look at them.
Oh my
But your time
gosh.
is coming. Yeah. It's really exciting. Allow me to introduce them to you. Mr. Samuel Kabali. Please God help me overpronounce it so well. Together with his beautiful wife. And of course you will believe what I'm talking about. Mrs. Kristen Kabali. Hope she doesn't call herself Tina. You know those things. Yeah. And I've been happily married for 2.5 years. Yeah, today I have you. Yeah, I have the young marrieds on board. Yeah, and they have one beautiful daughter. Yeah, and they serve with the collective UG. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me. Welcome these amazing people in the studio.
Thank you
are
for
most
having
welcome.
us. Yeah.
You look great.
Thank you.
Marriage is
She
holding
makes
you well.
us look good.
Christine, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done. Well
Yeah.
done. All
Thank
right.
you.
Please say hello to our viewers and then we start this. Your name is Kabali, so you have to greet us in Luganda. We safe.
I don't think you're ready for my Luganda yet, but I greet you all in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. My
Amen.
name is Samuel Kabali, as was mentioned. This is my beautiful wife. She will introduce herself.
My name is Kristen Karamagi Kabali.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We
Yeah.
are happy to have you here and you're going to tell us your story. 2.5 years. Oh my God. Well
Yeah,
done, guys.
it's
How
a
do you
very
feel?
short time, but it's been beautiful,
Oh,
man. It's
amazing.
been so
It's
good.
been a minute. You guys feel like, oh my God.
Not yet.
Yeah,
We're getting
we are
there.
getting
Getting
there.
there.
Yeah, but it's been beautiful.
But
yeah.
I see you guys are doing well. How is the
Yeah.
baby girl?
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
Teaching us new things every day. She's
Yeah, she's
learning new things every day, and
That's
it's
amazing.
just such a blessing.
So now they're
yeah.
calling you daddy, mommy. Is she
Yeah.
talking already?
Well, she only says daddy.
Oh,
Yeah, she's 14 months.
sorry, sister. Oh my God.
Yeah, we're trying to transition her into saying mommy as well, but you know, daddy
Oh my
for
God.
now.
It's well. Big good daddy. For some.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyways,
Yeah.
it's really exciting to have you guys here.
Thank you,
Young
thank you.
blood, young energy. We want to,
Yeah.
feel it from your side.
Yeah.
So, anyways, dear viewer, our topic today is preparing for marriage as a strong foundation for marriage. And remember, this show is in partnership with Life Ministry Uganda. So, back to you, our youngsters, our young, beautiful couple.
Come on now.
Just share with us your story. I'm excited, by the way, today. I give you a chance to tell us your story. How did you guys meet? Just give us your story briefly. I see Christine is already excited. She can't wait to answer. Okay,
Well-
all ears.
Well, so we met through the collective UG. We met in 2017, but we started dating in 2018.
Oh.
Yeah, we were in a book club together, a book club that the collective UG was running, and after going through was it 8 weeks?
Yeah.
8 weeks of the book club, we were then asked to lead a book club together, and
God was,
Yeah. God has his ways. His ways are not our ways.
yeah, so we decided to lead it together, and then September of 2018 we started dating. Yeah, so we dated 2 years before we got married. We got married November 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's exciting. Do you have your version of the story?
Well,
Or she
it's
says
more
it
or
all?
less she says it all. She knows this story like at heart.
I
so,
actually saw the excitement on her face. She's like, okay, I cannot wait. But that's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I'm glad that you remember your story and you love it that much.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So what did you do in that dating time? What did you do?
In that dating time, we strengthened our friendship.
Yeah.
I think that's how I can summarize it, because we
Yeah.
were friends for a few months before we started dating. my dating allowed us really be intentional about our friendship, and we spent more time together. We grew spiritually and all these other aspects. And of course, when he proposed in 2019, then wedding planning became wedding planning.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cut it a little bit from there.
Yeah.
Because now you're going into our topic this evening.
Yeah.
So I would like you to share your story. What did you do as you were preparing for marriage? Now we are going into marriage. He proposed. You said yes. Now that one we know. We only that we don't have pictures, but we know that he did.
Trust.
So what did you do to prepare for your marriage?
As an individual?
Yeah, it's okay.
Myself, gosh, I don't know that I did anything really significant to prepare for the marriage in itself, but I tried to learn who God wanted me to be, the woman that God wanted me to be, because unless I was that woman, I would not be able to be a good wife. So being a better person myself, growing spiritually, reading the word and working on my quiet time, being a better friend, and just bettering myself as a person. But of course, towards the wedding, the prayers I made, like just God to help you submit, to help me be selfless. Because I think one of the things that I learned during that process, the person I was doing life with, my matron, she mentioned that marriage is one of the most selfless things you do. Like, you get to learn how to be selfless. You can't be thinking about yourself. So just for the grace, because when you have been single and like when you get money, it's about you, and you know, when you're thinking, when you're making decisions, it's about you. And now I'm about to be living with someone. I'm going to have someone in my space, and I can't make decisions just like that. I need to consider someone else. So praying for the grace to be that person.
Wow.
Powerful.
The stick is now here, right here.
Right.
So Samuel, what
How
did
do you
do?
come after that? Wow.
She was a whole serious single lady here.
Right, single ladies. Wow. That period was very eye-opening. I used to call myself an introvert. For those who don't know what an introvert is, someone who is you get energy from just being by yourself, doing things by yourself. And so here I am.
Me, myself, and I.
Exactly. And here I am, I proposed to this girl. So I'm preparing to have someone in my space all the time. And I had to prepare myself mentally to have someone in my space all the time. And so that means unlearning certain ways of how I do things. Kristen mentioned learning how to have someone in your space, learning that the money that you're making now is not just your money. You have to train yourself.
The I dies. Now it's a we.
Now it's a we.
Yeah.
Even that, just that in itself, like referring to yourselves as we and not just I anymore. Small things like those. But those are the kinds of things that I had to learn in that time. And also God was taking me through my own journey as a human being, as a person, as a man. Because now I'll be responsible for a family one day, responsible for another person. And so I had to become a certain kind of man that I previously wasn't. And so that preparation period for me personally was a period of growth where I dived into the word. As Kristen mentioned, we were ministry, we were serving with the collective UG. And so in that season, I tried to dig deep into like service, into the word, and to root myself in the word so that I can become the kind of
the real priest in the house.
To be the kind of priest in my home that would make God proud. And so that's what it looked like for me in that season.
That's beautiful. You guys were nice single guys, and hey.
Right.
Anyways, but I didn't hear you say that you're preparing how to carry a baby So you're good at those things. Hey,
absolutely not.
Oh wow.
I
We were
think
there.
the only conversation we had about children before we got married was just how many children we want.
Yeah.
And then that was it. So when I found out I was expecting, I remember feeling this overwhelming inadequacy. Like, what am I going to do with a child? Like, now I'm going to have a
how
whole
many
human
did he
being.
say? How many children did he want?
2.
Well, we kind of
Okay, and you?
2.
Oh.
we were kind of on the same
nice.
page
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the beginning,
It helped.
so
That was nice.
it helped.
It helped, but I remember thinking, what am I going to do with a child? Like, how am I even going to know what to do? I had big life questions and even like small questions of, do I breastfeed her every time she cries? Like, such things, but God gives grace.
Yeah.
Like when I
I
look
know.
back how scared I was, and now
And
14
now-
months after,
Yeah, 14 months.
I feel like I have a hang of things, you know, like
you
Yeah.
feel like you would need 3 now.
Ah. Oh wow.
no, but no, but like when my friends tell me they're expecting and they're asking me questions, I feel like, wow, I can't believe I'm answering people's questions about this thing.
You're a whole
Right?
mentor
Yeah,
now.
like-
She's a whole mentor now, and it's so beautiful to see, man.
That's really exciting. I parents are the children of these days.
I
But yeah. The grace is really sufficient. I
Yeah.
really love that. I remember my hubby told me that I want 4 kids. No, yeah, he started with 5. And then after when I gave birth to our first kid, he was like, okay, now let's cut them. What
Yeah, that first experience can
Yeah.
make you reevaluate.
Panag, 5 times in the hospital. And I'm like, oh, now.
Yeah.
It's coming from your side. But anyways, you guys, thank you for preparing yourselves. So,
Yeah.
do you think it was worth it?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Doing preparing yourselves for marriage
As individuals, I think it was. I think it was worth it because marriage is really not about you, and I did not want to downplay the season of life that I was entering, and even now that I'm here, I can't downplay it, especially now that I'm here. Marriage is a big deal, and the both of us have seen the things that God can do through us as a married couple. Like it's like it opened up a whole new world of ministry, of life, and it's so worth it. It makes sense to prepare.
Okay.
And just
It's so true, because even in that preparation period, we learned a lot about ourselves, not just individually as we mentioned, but as a couple, like as together, what it looks like for us to start building a life together. Kristen mentioned that in that season we invested in like spending time with each other. Of course, in that period you're doing so many things. You're preparing for the different events and and it's very easy for you to forget that there's a relationship here that needs to be invested in. And so for us, I'm grateful for that time because it really brought us together as friends. So, because as husband and wife, you're not just husband and wife. You need to be friends as well.
You need to be friends.
And so that season really cemented our friendship, and we really became friends during that season.
Real friends.
Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting. And now you're bestos, eh?
We really
are.
We really are, by the way. It's so funny.
Yeah. Okay, you briefly talked about the things you did together. Are there other things that you did together, or the cementing the friendship? Is that all that you did together?
No, I think one of the best things we did was walk with a couple, an older couple.
Yeah.
So for about a year before we got married, we walked with a couple, the Katwehels, from Life Ministries. And that period we were having conversations, they were guiding us through particular conversations as we prepared for marriage, that they had like a whole book and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it helped us have the conversations that we would have otherwise not had. So my favorite was the conversation on expectations. Like sometimes it's easy to just go get married without knowing what the expectations of the other are. Even mundane things like chores, like who will wash dishes, who will lock the door, who will, but those can easily be sources of conflict and unnecessary conflict for that matter. So talking about our expectations, what I expected, and usually expectations are rooted in how we were raised.
Yeah.
So if let's say I grew up in a household where my dad does the grocery shopping, and it was the opposite for him, when we get married, I will sort of expect him to do the grocery shopping, and then he'll be expecting me, and then there'll be like some kind of friction. But talking about something as simple as just that helps us manage our expectations, and we agree, like, okay, maybe I'm okay doing it, even though I grew up this way. They told us the story of a couple. After they got married, for like a week, no one was locking the house. They would just like go and sleep because each one expected the other one to lock.
Yeah.
And when they realized no one was locking, the guy would be like, how can you go to bed without locking the house?
Yeah.
You know, like, you're the caretaker of the home. And then she's also like, but like, you're the man. How does a man go to bed? You know, something as small as that. So talking about expectations made me realize that there are certain things that are different, and they're all rooted in just what I know to be life. How we grew up in very different homes, so you can't expect the other person to come and be like you. They're a whole different person. So that talking about your expectations just helps you figure out what it's going to be like, and just talk about what you want your marriage, because now you are setting your own foundation, you're building your own thing, not your parents, not his parents, but yours. So you go in having there are things you can never prepare for, but it helps to just have starter conversations.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
that's just to add what Kristen said, like it also helped, like she mentioned, having a mentor couple, that vertical relationship with people who have been there and done that, and they're walking with you. We also were very grateful to have those horizontal relationships, people who are also getting married soon and are going through this thing with you. We found it very helpful because and encouraging, especially in those seasons when the day is slowly coming and you're starting to slowly get nervous about things that have either not been done or are still pending, and even just the marriage in general, like what's it going to be like after this wedding day, and just working with people who are also about to get married and sharing your experiences
together.
It builds that sense of community, like man, I'm not doing this thing alone, we're together in this thing. And it really it built us up, and it really forged very strong relationships that we have with some of our closest friends. And so I feel like that was also something,
and it helps keep you accountable.
Yeah.
See, because before you're married, accusing the topic of sexual purity, but like before you're married, things like sexual purity are they're such sensitive topics, and you cannot do it alone. Of course, God is always there to give you the grace, but it helps when you have people you're doing life with, and like they can keep you accountable. When you know you're accountable to someone, it's very hard to just do things anyhow, because you know you have to be honest with them. So it keeps you in check. Keeps you in check that you walk in the light. I call it walking in the light. Like walk in the light. People know what's going on in your life. The idea of doing life alone or your relationship being secret is so bad, because I think that the devil thrives in secrecy. He really does. So working with a couple that you're doing life with, it keeps you accountable and it keeps you in the light.
Wow, thank you guys for sharing. Reality is not everyone can mentor you.
Yes,
so
that's true.
How did you guys choose your mentors?
Well, the funny thing is our mentors chose us. At least the guys who were mentoring us vertically, the Katwe Hales. Elon had always been a friend of Kristen's. I actually met Elon and his wife through Kristen. And when they realized we were dating seriously and were preparing for marriage, even before we got engaged, they approached us and they offered to work with us in that year just before we got married. So.
Okay, that's amazing. But okay, from your own experience, maybe from what you have had, how can one choose a mentor?
I think first of all, people that you respect, people that you love and respect. It's a bit hard to get random strangers. It could work, but it really helps if you know them, if you're friends. That way you're able to be comfortable and honest with them, because you don't want again to be lying to the people that you're doing life with, because then you're wasting time. So people that you can be honest with. So if you're more honest with who have not been in your life already, then so be it. But of course, the same beliefs as you. So faith. If you're a Christian, you can't have a mentor couple that is not Christian. They have to be Christian, believe in the same things you believe, and maybe a marriage that a model marriage for you. Like when you look at a couple and be like, I think I would want that for myself. Yeah. If maybe that's not your case, that's not the case, then you look for another one. But they have to be of the same faith as you. They have to be Christian, because then the things that they're sharing with you are biblically founded. Because experiences are one thing, but what God says it should be the ultimate thing that you focus on. And so even as they advise you, as they lead you, will hold your hand through life, it will all be biblically founded. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's real beautiful, and I like your sharing when you say no one is really a star in marriage. You know, no one is perfect, no one is good. We are all work in progress. So we need people to do life with, to help each other walk this journey of marriage. That's really exciting. So do you ever think you prepared yourself enough? You ever think you did prepared yourself enough, and now in marriage you're just everything is hey.
Well, I don't feel like we did everything, like completely everything that we could have done to prepare for marriage. Every day there are things we learn while we are in the marriage walk could have been slightly different if we had had those kinds of conversations before. I know for a fact that the conversation about money is very sensitive, not just for us, but for couples in general. And so the conversation about money, I feel, is something like if we had dug really deep into it, it would have been very helpful. And I feel like it's the same for many couples. It's a very sensitive topic. How money is used, how money is spent together and individually, and what things around that conversation. So I feel like there are definitely things that we could have had more conversations about, especially along the financial aspect of things.
I also think that I don't think it's possible to be 100% ready. Like you go in, like how you prepare for an exam and you know everything. I don't think it's possible because you're not God. Ultimately, God knows how all you can do is do your best. But there are things that are very key. There are things that are key, like faith. Talking about faith, like if you say one is Catholic and one is Pentecostal, how does that work? Yeah, there are things that are key in figuring out if we need to proceed with this relationship into marriage, or how we're going to do it if we do proceed. There are things that we cannot ignore. Even if you cannot prepare completely, but there are things that you cannot ignore. The faith one is, I think, the real biggest for me. Other things can always be figured out, because marriage is a learning place. It's like school. Every day.
Kristen, I'll cut you short. Let's quickly go off for a short break, but this show returns. Please don't touch that remote. Well, welcome back from that short break. This is the Family Talk Show here at Church of Uganda Family TV, and my beautiful, beautiful name is Clare Bwenje, your world's favorite host. Today I have exciting guests in the studio. Let me just summarize the Kabalis.
Yes.
Wow, it's amazing. It's a great time to have you here, and you guys are doing great.
Thank you.
Hey. You guys are amazing. You guys, before we went for a short break, they were sharing. Another question was, did they ever think they had prepared enough? And now marriage is like a bed of roses. So I'll take it back from you, Kristen.
As I was still saying, marriage is a learning place. Every day you learn things about the other person. It's like, I don't know a metaphor to use for it, but like every day you're peeling off a new layer and you're getting more comfortable with each other, and we've only been married 2.5 years, so I don't know if there's a point where you stop learning things about the other person. I don't think so, because even as human beings, you keep evolving and growing, and things you liked then, you don't like them too much now. So there's always room for growth. So I don't think you can prepare 100% that on your wedding day you're now ready and there's nothing more to learn. There's always something to learn, and just knowing that even fixes your mindset, and it's just knowing that we're still learning, even as a couple. There's just how we handle different things. Maybe how you thought you would handle it is completely different from how you figure to handle it now, because that's because of the seasons, and especially when children enter the mix, life completely changes forever. Now you have to figure out your new normals, your new schedules, your new everything. So I don't think you can ever prepare completely.
Wow. Well, that's really beautiful. And as you were sharing, your story, the things you prepared in, I didn't hear about the past relationships. Did you guys have past relationships? Oh, yeah, dealing with angels.
Angels.
Wow, angels. So, me, I'm the one starting. Okay. So yes, I had exes. I had been in a couple of relationships before I met Kristen. And of course there's a transition there. There's a transition from going to seeing someone else to being single and then seeing another person now. And that transition can be a bit tricky for some people. It was for me. Because that previous relationship left me in a place where I felt like I needed time by myself to just recover and also just hear more from God. Because a lot of the times people just go into relationships out of FOMO and just fear of being alone. And I feel like those are the wrong reasons to go into relationships. And so I used that time to hear from God. It's like, God, what is it that you want for me in a partner? And just spend that time doing that. Of course, the way we deal with our exes needs to, it ended on the day, at least I believe, that it ended on the day you broke up. And so everything you do from that point is now a new thing. Your ex is no longer part of that of that equation. And so as you meet new people, as you begin new connections, your ex is now a thing of the past. And that's where it needs to remain. And so every new conversation, everything new is exactly that. It's new. And so it's like things from the past should not creep in. If they begin to creep in, there needs to be a constant reminder of this is where it ended. That's why breaking up should be breaking up. It shouldn't leave any strings behind of potential returning, because you've closed that chapter of your life. And so if if that's a decision that you have made for yourself, it needs to be final, and it needs to be known by both parties. Some people break up and they don't tell each other. You only break up in your head. And so both parties need to be aware that this thing has ended, and we're in agreement with that, so that anytime there is something bringing you back, that you can recall that time when it ended and make a fresh reminder and continue down your new path.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you very much. Even out of respect for each other, these boundaries are very, very necessary. The issue of exes can be so sensitive, but out of respect for the other person, you draw boundaries, clear boundaries, by the way, and know that this is what would this person feel like if they found me being very close friends with the person I was previously involved with. So just putting the other person's feelings into consideration really helps. But also being honest about, so we talked about our past relationships, and it was all in the light. It was all there. There's no secret, there's no what. So I know who he was previously involved with, and he also knows on my end, and it just helps to put everything on the table and have the conversation and like, what do you feel about this? If you're still friends with your ex, find out what the other person, how it makes the other person feel. If it doesn't make them feel great, it may be wise to just
delete, block.
Close that chapter for good. Close that chapter for good, because if this person means more to you now and they're the ones you want to be with, then you just ask them how they feel about it. If they're okay, then maybe, but boundaries, keep a distance, but talk about it. Helps to just be open and honest with the person that you're currently with.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. You guys did it. Wow, you guys did it so well. Okay, that's really amazing. I know the viewer out there is excited about this and they have something to learn. So you guys have been married for 2.5. Wow, congratulations. Just a few months and then you make 3 years.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So now that you are there, you are married, what would you tell your younger self?
Be on each other's team. You're one team. So whatever issue, whether it's during wedding planning or during the marriage, it's you against the problem, not you against each other. So when there's an issue, you are thinking about it together and say, okay, how do we handle this issue? Not taking teams. And especially wedding planning, it can be tricky, because now you're not just planning just the two of you. There's 2 different families involved, especially if it's intercultural, because he's a Muganda and I'm a Mtoro. So there are things that are very different. So you need to be a team going into the preparations for the wedding, but even the marriage. Be a team. You're on one team. The other thing maybe would be focus more on the marriage than the wedding, because wedding planning is exhausting. It's time consuming. It's all these things. And it's easy to forget the relationship in that process. Every time you meet, you're talking about, okay, the decorator said this, did that, who's doing cake, what, and you start to grow apart. Yet the real important thing is the marriage. So during wedding planning, create time for yourselves. Like if it means you meet and you talk nothing wedding related, do that, but create time for yourself. Focus more on the marriage than the wedding. The wedding ends and you're like, wow, I cannot believe all those months of stress were just for this day that is now over. So focus more on the marriage.
I like that. And most so wedding is just a one-day thing. Marriage is forever.
Marriage is forever. And I feel like that's a very important point. What I would add would be specifically to the guys, the men who are getting married.
Men in the house.
Love your wives as Christ loved the church. Christ's love for the church is sacrificial. Christ's love for the church is irrespective of his feelings. Christ's love for the church is unending. Remember, this is a commitment you're making to someone till you die. And so I would say to the guys, as you begin the marriage, the process, like as Kristen said, it's school. Like you're learning new things every day. And you're obviously going to learn things that you don't like because we are different humans, or things that you haven't experienced before. Our role as husbands in this relationship is to love your wife unconditionally through all the new things that are coming up, through all the different hurdles, hills and valleys. Our position towards our wives is love, just as Christ's position towards his church is love. Like that, we're to embody Christ in our families. We're to embody Christ in our marriages. And so it might sound like a difficult task, but if you are one with Christ, if you read the word, if you make sure you're serving every day, make sure that your time with God is your priority, you find that you become more Christ-like. And then you start loving your person as Christ loves the church, because that's who you're spending time with, Christ, all the time. And so he's teaching you how to love. And so as you learn how to love from Christ, that's how you should love your person. And so as guys, I feel like it's an important thing to tell guys, because especially that sacrificial kind of love. You know, guys, when they get married, the first thing is like, got myself a new servant. She's going to do everything I tell her to do. You get, and that's not how Christ loves the church. Christ loves the church sacrificially. He gave himself for his church. And so as guys, we are to give ourselves every day to our wives. And that is the kind of love that will grow your marriage into a beautiful thing.
Wow. Oh, you guys, I know men there, they're like, okay. You've told us.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's really exciting. So I'm just reminded, did your mentors, are your mentors still mentoring you?
Yeah, I would say so. We don't meet as often as we used to, but
we meet every week.
We used to meet.
You feel you're grown up
like
now.
every week.
Just life. Okay.
Life, but we are still in contact. And I know that if we needed a third party, if there's an issue needed a third party, they would be ready. But also we have other people that we're now doing. We have like other couples that we are working with, some older,
couples fellowships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have other couples we're doing life with, so we are surrounded.
Yeah.
And I cannot emphasize enough the benefit of community in marriage. There are things that you're going to go through that another couple already went through and has a solution.
Yeah.
And you just opening up to them or sharing that problem expedites the time you spend looking for a solution for that problem. Community is so important.
Yeah. I also feel like as you grow into the marriage, I'm not saying that we've been married that long.
No,
but I feel like
actually that long.
Yeah. But just like discipleship is in our faith.
Yeah.
As we learn, we have people who are teaching as well. That helps you be a better teacher. And so as a couple, if you have people who you're bringing up, mentoring in that way, I feel like it also has a value it adds to your relationship. It helps you grow to be a better couple, better people, so that the people you're bringing up can look at you as an example. So I feel like it's also important for not just to have vertical mentorship and horizontal mentorship with our marriage groups, but also bring up some couples, like people who are planning to get married, people who are preparing to get married.
How many couples are you mentoring now?
I'd say 2.
Yeah, they're like 2. Yeah, we're not many. We've just been in this thing 2 years. When we're in like 10 years, we'll be in like the hundreds. But yeah, we're working with like...
So you sit them down and you tell them, now guys, like serious stuff.
Not seriously like this, but like take them out, have lunch.
You do life together.
That's
and help
beautiful.
them navigate certain things. They can have questions. I'm very passionate about couples who are like engaged and almost getting married, because that window there can be something. So just give them solutions and like just do life with them. And sometimes just because you're mentoring a couple doesn't mean you're the only one giving. There's also a lot to learn from people that you work with. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So you guys are in ministry.
Yes.
And then I know you're working.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that? You have a kid at home. You have another baby, because they say your hobbies are
is your baby.
Oh,
so
wow. They say that.
How are you managing?
Gosh, by the Lord's grace, because I do communications. So there's work I do with an agency, but primarily I serve with a collective UG. Priorities. There's a book that I've been reading. I think it's called Developing the Leader Within You, and there's a part where I was talking about priorities, and I was saying if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. So just knowing what comes first, and I know that my family comes first. My service with the collective, to me, comes first before all these other things I do on the side. There are times when I'm doing like 3 things at the same time, like sources of income, those things. But I know that my ministry with the collective is where God wants me to be, and it takes precedence over every other thing I would do. So just knowing that those 2 things come first. So anything else that I do, if it comes into conflict.
What are the 2 things that come first?
my family.
Okay.
That's my husband and my child. And then my service at the collective UG. So if I do anything else, if there's a gig and however much it's paying, if it's coming into conflict with my family, maybe it's going to keep me away from my daughter for a very long time that I'm not comfortable with, or it's going to hinder me from serving at the collective, then I know that that's not the one. So I can say no, comfortably say no to that. So priorities, and there are certain things that, like just life skills, managing your time, because when you're a mother, a wife, and a working wife at that, it can get crazy really quickly, and you don't want to neglect the husband or the child, or so just managing my time, but also knowing how much I can chew. I am very careful not to take on too much, or else these other things that are actually important to me suffer. So yeah,
I think that's right.
Yeah, that's powerful. I didn't mention this at the beginning, but I work. I have a day, I wouldn't call it a day job. I run a digital media design company called Tonda Animation. Shout out. So again, I would answer the same way Kristen has, because for me it's the weight of handling both ministry and work is heavy, because I lead in both spaces, and so the decision to choose ministry at the times where there is that conflict, because as someone who is self-employed, I'm sure the people watching who are also self-employed would know that you don't have working hours. You're always going to be working. A client can reach out to you in the middle of the night, and in that moment you have to make a decision. As like Kristen said, what are your priorities in that moment? And so when you find yourself in those areas of conflict or those crossroads where you're supposed to decide between work and ministry and family, as Kristen said, for us the decision is always God first, then family. And so our service to the collective UG, our family that we're building, will take precedence over anything when that time comes, when that crossroads is there. And so for me personally, I'm speaking to the people who do self-employment, who are self-employed, people who run businesses, and they are also trying to serve at the same time and have a family. I feel like, as Kristen said, it's important for us to know your priorities and stick to them. Don't compromise with them, because it's very easy. Like when a gig comes and it's paying you a lot of money, it's very easy to compromise and say, it's just one day away from my wife, one day away from my children, I'll travel to Soroti, I'll be back tomorrow. But in that decision, in that moment, you have prioritized that thing over what is important. And that becomes it becomes a cycle. It doesn't
easier
stop.
each time.
Yeah, it becomes easier to make that compromise every time. And so if you continuously make that compromise, you alienate yourself away from your family and from God. And so it is very important for people, specifically in this area, because I know they are there. I know there are people there. And so making that decision consciously to always choose God and your family over everything else will pay in the long run, because God rewards those who prioritize his kingdom. Matthew 6:33 tells us that if we seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, all the things we are seeking for in our jobs and all these things will come to us. He will add them to us if we know what to prioritize, which is his kingdom.
Wow. Let me tease you a bit, because I like that, yes, I like that. But I'm just teasing you. I want to invite you 5 years from today, and I'll ask you this very question, and I'll add on top of this question, is it easy?
The truth that it is not easy.
Because now by that time you will be having more than one kid. You will be having the 2 kids that you have. And then school fees is knocking, 3.5 for and then here you're saying, okay, that's for 5 years from now.
5 years from
Let's
now.
skip it.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing you. That's correct. That's correct. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So how can one prepare for marriage? In what areas?
Spiritually. Pray.
Yeah.
Pray together grow together. There's something beautiful in pursuing your spiritual life together. Read the word together. Just take off time and pray with each other. I don't know how to explain it, but something grows in you as you do that together. I'd also say emotionally, as a person, I've always been, before I was married, as those people who, whatever emotional thing I'm going through, I deal with it alone. Don't ask me questions, don't talk to me. I'll be back when I'm ready to talk. And he was the opposite of, let's talk about it now, and deal with it now. I was just like, why don't you just leave me and I deal with my own things? And then I realized even your emotions are not just for you, because now there's a whole other person that is affected by your emotions and your mood. So that emotional preparation, if you had any emotional attachments to anyone else, you cut it off, and know that you're you're preparing yourself emotionally for just this one person. Marriage is for life, and you don't want any kind of drama and whatnot. So yeah, emotionally as well.
I would say continue dating. It's very important because especially when you're preparing for marriage, as guys, man, when you put that ring on that finger, we have arrived. Now we're going to get married, and and in a sense you feel like you have achieved, and so you stop pursuing. And when you stop pursuing, when you stop being intentional about the relationship, it begins to die. Anything that's not growing is dying. And so if your relationship with your wife is not growing, it's dying. And it could die before you get married if you don't continue dating. So I feel like when you're preparing to get married, don't forget to put time out during the week, through your busy schedule, and just date. Just remember what it's like to just have fun together, go for a movie. Even though you're on a budget, there's still things you can do on a budget to give that sense of relationship more life. And so I feel like, continue dating.
I think also the money conversation, financially, putting on the table, this is how much I have, this is how much I earn, and the other person as well. Okay, so how are we going to
Kristen,
utilize this?
Hoping for the lecture.
I am very transparent with my finances. I don't think it's a thing that I need to hide. Yes, but talk about money, because lest you make very random decisions when, say, you're looking for where you're going to live, and you're looking at this nice apartment in Kololo, but can you afford it? You get, so that conversation helps you manage expectations. This is what we can afford, we can't afford the other thing, and then maybe just I'm not very financially literate, if that's the word. I don't know much about investing and whatnot, but I know that there's a big benefit in having that kind of conversation of, with the money we have, how can we better use it, how can we grow that money, because money is such a huge source of conflict in marriage. So just having that conversation together really, really helps. But I think the thing that we know to work is how you split the percentages of your earnings. So of course there's 10% tithe, and then maybe say 20% will go to saving, and maybe we have a thing there for generosity. But 20% for generosity, that's like wedding contributions or gifts, I don't know, all that stuff. So come up with a formula that works for you guys. I think the financial conversation is important.
Wow, thank you very much. Our time is really fast spent, but it's been an exciting time here. We're happy to have you here at Church of Uganda Family TV. Your parting shots, and then we sign out.
Man, thank you so much for having us. Thank you for giving us a platform to share our story. We are grateful. we're just excited. We're excited about the future.
You're celebs, eh?
Are we though?
Nada, man.
Yeah, on DSTV now. Hey.
But it's
Yeah, I'm honored just to be here, to talk about marriage 2 years in.
right.
It feels like should invite for who are 50 years in, but it's really an honor.
We need your take. We need your take from
I know.
that 2 years. Hey.
Just the last thing I can say is be intentional about each other. Even when life gets busy and now you have children, you have work, school fees, all those things, they won't go away. They'll stay. So you have to be intentional. If it means a weekly date night or just be really intentional, because life does not stop. Like that life will keep throwing things at you. So it helps to set apart time, intentional time for just the two of you to talk, connect, and grow together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Samuel. Have you learned how to prepare a luombo?
No.
You better learn. You better.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, it's been a great pleasure, a great joy to have you here,
Thank
Samuel
you.
and Kristen. And to you, our dear viewer, thank you very much for loving Church of Uganda Family TV, and of course, me, your world's favorite host. I sign out. It is a good night. See you again next Friday at 9 p.m. Ciao.